Hello everyone, I'm Timoteo.
And I'm George, and this is
Vintage Doll Hunters. On this channel, we are discussing what we found on our latest vintage doll hunt. We'll review on our hunting finds and give you our opinions on what we found.
We provide you, the audience, quality information based on our 7 years of collecting experience, either from our own collection or from the homes of others. We have a passion for collecting and learning about vintage dolls.
So join us and see what we found.
Let's get started.
All right, well, this was kind of neat. I've never really seen one of these before, but it was really nice finding it because me and George, we love Disneyland. So we found this 1971 Horseman made out of their New York office, a little Mouseketeer doll. They were available at Walt Disney, and they were made with this white t-shirt that had a little Mickey Mouse logo print right in the front, and it was also stitched together with this little jean type skirt. They also had a little boy that was made.
The redhead.
Yeah, the little redhead on the side of her, so she had a little companion friend. And I thought that was a neat little find, and I think maybe we'll just clean her up and maybe add her to our display and our little collection and see how that turns out.
Yeah, Horseman is a really well-established company, so this is a really well-made doll.
Yeah, they been making dolls since about 1865, and this is a little posable. I think it's a style 80 doll of theirs, but yeah, really nice little baby face on her, sleepy green eyes. And another thing that we came across, which we usually, it's really rare to find these together like this, but what we found on our hunt was more Barbie stuff, and I love finding Barbie stuff. That's kind of where my eye runs for the first set of any kind of doll hunting. So let's see what we got here. Okay.
So they're the patterns basically for making Barbie clothes. At that time, people were very home ec, and the moms, or I'm not sure if the kids made the clothes. I know the moms did for the kids.
Check it out.
Extra outfits for the dolls. So these are different sewing patterns.
Yeah, it looks like these were wardrobe little patterns that were available back in 1964 to add to your Barbie clothes and styles, and help you create something neat and maybe figure out if maybe that's what you want to do, and maybe have a fashionable thing. Or your parents, like you said, a lot of parents were very good with the sewing machine back then, and they loved making these for their daughters and adding to their memories and kind of fun stuff. But these patterns mostly came with 6 different patterns. I don't want to bring them all out because they'll get loose, but it looks like none of these are really cut, which is really kind of cool to find that they have haven't been touched yet or haven't been sewn into. So me and George ourselves will probably try to mess around with that.
And these ones right here, they're Barbie Mattel brand ones. There are some doll dress patterns out there that are 11.5-inch dolls, but these are specifically made by Mattel and Barbie, which makes them really cool because they're kind of rare to come by. And it's funny because he found these, and then a couple of days later, I actually found my own. I'll share once we get to my stuff, but yeah.
And it looks like they also made them for Ken, and the Ken was on there, and they made boy clothes. I mean, that looks like a good challenge. I tried once to make clothes with George's help. It came all right from an old shirt that I had that looked like a couch print, but it looked gorgeous. I mean, so here's more of what we found. Oh, this is, here we go, little books, more books, like those fashion books that we had found from the first video that we went hunting. We found all that stuff. It looks like here is a skipper book, and this is another piece of fashion booklets that they would give with your sale of your doll or an outfit that you may have purchased. These are the little doll booklets that they kept. This was for Skipper, the little sister, so you could buy more of her clothing. It was like a little lure to the little girls to say, you do not have everything just yet. And it looks like here goes another fashion book. These looks like they were more out probably in the 70s, probably 68, when the bendables
60s, early 70s.
started coming in.
Twists and turns.
Twists and turns were in, George correct. And then they added a Casey, which was like another cousin to the mix. And they also added Black Francie, and I believe this is where the Julia doll, Chrissy doll came out as well into this.
She was twist and turn, yes. And we showed you an example for one of our earlier videos. You want to check her out.
Barbie World of Swinging. This was also that PJ doll. This would have been her booklet where she would have been available. And this was more of the movable dolls, the twists and turns and things of that nature. It's another booklet full of stuff.
And these booklets are awesome because the dolls, as a collector, you might get the doll by itself, but then you want to get the booklet, you want to get the box to go with it.
So you always want to complete the set.
These are, it was really awesome because that's the way they were sold. They were sold with the booklets and the boxes and whatever fun stuff else came with them accessories.
Yeah, and it looks like there was a talking doll, not the possessed talking doll, but it looks like a Barbie Mattel talking doll. That's really neat. And it looks like we also came across with the load in, looks like older dolls, maybe in the 50s, I think these patterns. Yeah, 1957 it looks like. And these are more for the larger baby doll clothing. And we do have some of those dolls. I do collect those dolls as well, you know, and you will see if we can make some outfits out of those. It looks like the majority of these are the larger doll things. So we'll put those aside. And when we maybe find or come across those kind of baby dolls in the future, we'll talk about the clothing or have it ready for them. Awesome. This was also a neat find that we found. Let me run through this real quick, because this actually goes with what we were just talking about, which is all the patterns.
And the sewing, yeah, these are the sewing notions that Mattel came out with, Barbie. So as you can see,
yeah, this were the final touches for your, you know, your outfits that you would make for your Ken and Barbie, and this would make them look, you know, really sleek, and then have that, you know, Mattel look, which, you know, ends it with that pretty cool little button or that zipper that's just right. I think it was YK is the brand zipper that they would use, and you would know that was a Mattel item. But yeah, these are all missing already, so it looks like somebody sewed up some things, but it's kind of cool to have. Maybe we'll add it to something that we make, or just keep it as a nostalgic piece. You know, I hate tearing into stuff that is still packaged like this. I'm sure there's others that are loose, but this kind of stuff, you know, I don't like to touch. I hate to break it up.
But it is very good to use, because nowadays you can't go to the store and find them. You gotta look online a lot for these type of sewing notions, because they're so small and they're specifically made for dolls like Barbie size. Yeah, they don't sell those in the store, so that's an awesome find.
And along with that, we also went to a thrift store, and I found some vintage fabrics. It looks like this one still even has like a little old price tag that says 60 cents on it. So I thought that was kind of cool. So maybe I will incorporate this fabric into these older styles, you know, and then maybe I'll bump it up with maybe something of an old jean or something that I didn't, that I threw away, no longer using. But that is kind of where I'm starting with. And with George's help, you know, maybe I'll make a cool little suit for Ken to add to those patterns. And you know, that's something that, you know, George is really into right now. Yes. And he's also found his stuff.
My own fabric. We went on the vintage store. I mean, I'm not sure if this striped one's vintage, but it's from a vintage store that's been open for like 50 years. So I'm assuming it is to some extent. But yeah, I collect fabrics. I make clothes for human-sized clothes, but I'm starting to make more of my oak dolls now. So these fabrics are helping me. The leftover scraps, that is, that I'm using for the bigger costumes that I'm making, to then use the remnants for smaller dolls. As you can see, she's an example of, she's not a Barbie, she's a Monster High, but a lot of this material I found at thrift stores. Our last haul where we found some of this stuff, the tulle, petticoat under, and these flowers are all vintage. Even the eyelashes are vintage doll eyelashes that the owner of the store had a lot of wigs and lashes, because a lot of the dolls, even before the 60s, they had like the wigs where you would glue the whole doll cap to the hair. But this isn't glued. This is hand stitched. I hand stitched this here into her hair because I don't like using glue for the hair.
It was a sweatshop here with George for about 3 days getting that hair done.
Yeah, and then I also found my own Barbie dress patterns. These are really used, but the thing that's really neat about whoever owned them before, even though they cut up the pieces up and used them, they organized it where they pinned all the little pieces together. So it's real neatly organized. Oh, baby doll, also kind of Tim's find. And the thing that I thought was really cool too was this tracing kit. So when you can trace on top of fabric by laying these little pieces over it, and it kind of perforates the fabric, so you don't have to mark it with a marker or a pen or chalk.
Oh, I'm gonna use that. Thanks a lot for sharing.
I just got it. It's so awesome. Okay. I haven't even used it. I haven't used it yet. Then, you know, the big thing I want to touch on before we kind of wrap up this video is just, you know, looking at these things now that were from then, but then thinking about the now, like these zippers and these sewing notions. Cool. It was very home ec. Nowadays you don't get that, but you are having this whole turnaround of people like on YouTube and like myself doing Ooak dolls, which stands for original one of a kind doll, where these things would actually come in handy. I'm the kind of person where I like adding zippers. I like that professional kind of finish, even though I'm barely kind of in the beginner stages of it. Yes. I try to put as much effort into my sewing projects. You know, there's not only that, they had the little buttons, they had the hook catch, like for fur shawls, like the way you wouldn't use a snap. Snap is the other thing you don't see nowadays. You
No
do
more
see some with some dolls, but they're like the Silkstone Barbie dolls, which are not at your everyday store. You gotta buy them online. They're specialty dolls.
And those are newer dolls, and
they're newer dolls. That's the only dolls I see with snaps. Everyone else uses a Velcro.
Okay, done with the rant and raves.
Then hair fibers is another thing too. I mean, I don't have an example of vintage hair fiber other than this pretty little Horseman Mickey Mouse doll right here. The fibers, they would, I don't know, when you touch them, it almost seems like it's like a rougher material, but I think it's because of after all the styling and the aging, the hair just feels stiff, but it's held together really well. A lot of hair fibers that you find now with like the newer dolls are very cheap and they're very non-heat resistant, and they tend to fry really quick, and
And a lot of times you don't know where they store these dolls, you know, so it's kind of best to use like a very delicate soap on these and a gentle cleaning, or just don't clean it at all.
The vintage ones, I would leave them alone, especially because we live here in Arizona and Phoenix. It's one of the hottest places in the U.S. that, you got to be careful. And then, the last thing is I love this era because there was such quality to it, but it seems like over time, because of manufacturing demands and having to make so many dolls to sell them to people all over the world, that it's almost like substance and quality was traded in just for the convenience of mass production. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it at home. It doesn't mean that you can't take care of your dolls. I mean, I hate finding a bald midge out there because I kind of want to rear her, but I don't really, even though she's missing parts of her hair. Mm-hmm. But that's just something we sometimes debate, because you want to help her, but you don't want to ruin her vintage qualities. But
don't want to paint over her.
And
sometimes I don't know, other people. We'll see when we come across.
And then just to let you guys know, we're so excited because our neighbors Philomena and Keith, we ran into me today.
Our
first hit for our next video, hopefully. They were checking out our garden, and we were picking on Tim when he say hi.
Such a lovely garden.
Yeah, and then so she was basically telling us, because he mentioned the Barbies to her, and in our YouTube video, and she said she has some Barbies. She mentioned fashion 2000s forward Barbies, and we were like, But then she said she had twists and turns, and then
TNT.
Tim was like, "I want them." so
a little aggressive there.
A little, but hopefully, we're gonna try to give her a call later. So wish us luck, because we're gonna see if she wants to let us look at her dolls, because it's not just to look at.
We'll let you know. But in closing words, George, to wrap this up.
Okay, so that wraps up this video. If you would like your vintage dolls that are hidden in your closet, up in your attic, down in the basement, featured in our next video, make sure to contact us. All our contact information is in the description below. Make sure to check out the listings. I did open up my Etsy shop. We have our eBays. We have our Facebooks. He has an Instagram. I have a Twitter.
Yes, contact us. Let us know.
So do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you for spending time
thank you very
with us
much.
today.
Come back again.
And don't forget to like this video and
our
other
subscribe.
videos, and hit that subscribe.
Thank you, and have a wonderful and nice day. Just like I'm having.
Bye. You're so weird.